The CSGO devs have blessed us with another operation, and this time we didn't have to wait a whole year for it. It's exciting to see CSGO's major updates return to being more than just an annual thing. There's so much interesting stuff that could be talked about in this update. So, instead of all that, let's talk about the agent's voice work instead. As with all recent operations, one of the major selling points is the new agent skins, and for Operation Riptide, we've been treated to the return of the Guerrilla Warfare faction. In fact, 80% of the agents are completely new factions to CSGO. Most of the time, new lines are recorded for 1 or 2 new characters, however this time 10 unique characters worth of audio has been recorded, just not for the characters that are actually from a newly represented country. Sorry, New Zealand and Brazil. To put it all into perspective, more lines of dialogue have been recorded for this update than there were recorded for the launch of the game way back in 2012. Feel old yet? Most of the new work is really high quality. There's more character than much of the game's base factions, and it's clear a lot of time and effort has been put into making these characters as entertaining and as fun as possible. The problem is, outside of throwing a grenade, no one's going to have a chance to hear the new VO work. If you fancy picking up one of the new agents, or even one of the current agents, you're not going to be able to use or hear most of the voice work in game. All of the new characters have a lot more voice acting recorded for them. They contain new lines for identifying bomb sites, requesting weapon drops, or suggesting an eco. However, none of that is easily usable in game. But why is that, you ask? Well, the systems are all in place and all the lines have been recorded. 90% of the VO has been programmed to function as it should be. However, in the coding, it's all been double slashed out. If you're new to coding, in many languages double slash is used to indicate a comment. When running the script, all comments are ignored. They're just not read by the computer program. Comments are simply there for the developers to remind them what each element does. CSGO uses a lot of comments to remind the developers which file plays which line. So you might think this is something intentional, but it's clearly not. Some agents have all their voice work enabled, others don't. A general rule of thumb is that master agents will usually have all their voice work enabled. However, there are a few exceptions. Generic frogmen, like Lieutenant Rex Creaky, and some of the anarchist lines are all enabled to be used. The reality is, everything is rather sporadic, as if the code could use another quality pass. This has been a problem since the release of the new chat wheel. Check out a link to my video on it in the top corner. Master agents have all had their voice work enabled, while regular agents, even those with all the voice work recorded, are just disabled for arbitrary reasons. And for what gain? I don't think enabling or disabling the audio will have any effect on which agents players choose to pick up. That'll mostly be down to aesthetics and preference. There are, however, massive downsides by not enabling them. The game's just becoming bloated in size for no reason. The game's experience and immersion are cheapened. There's less accessibility for those who'd benefit. And I could go on, but I digress. If it's to increase the value of the new agents, then why isn't it an advertised feature? The whole premise is just nonsensical. Perhaps I'm mistaken, and it's not about artificially making the new agents more valuable, or especially the more expensive master agents. As mentioned before, perhaps the code is just in need of a second check. A second pass, second bit of quality assurance. Also supporting this notion, none of the new agents have lines programmed for throwing an incendiary grenade. In fact, quite a lot of the factions don't, and seems like a basic oversight, as it's been an issue for many factions for a while now. And whilst I haven't checked every agent yet, there seems to be a lot of other basic lines that aren't working for factions like the Gondomere, such as their stick together lines. Even the voice work could use a second pass. The audio levels for the generic Gondomere agents are far lower than all the other factions in the game. I think it'd be fair to say that a lot of the agents' voice work in this update is fantastic, but a little bit sloppy on the coding end. I'm not a big fan of rant videos, but I think it's worth mentioning and bringing attention to this. Good VO work really adds a lot to the gaming experience, and Valve have always been some of the best in the business at this. In the future, I just hope Valve can give a little bit more attention to the VO work that goes into CSGO. A lot of actors put a lot of time and effort into it, and I think it's worth celebrating. But of course, it's also worth actually putting in the effort to code it properly. Yep, and I know, it's actually pronounced gendarmerie. Thanks again for listening, and if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to check out some of my other content, there are plenty more voice line showcases and discussion videos just like this on the channel. Of course, there are some other random memes and stuff as well, but you know, hey, someone's got to enjoy themselves. Anyway, thanks again.